Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. This is the great Mattsby and Tesla Tracker. How's it going?
I'm doing great. I see right off the bat, before the show even started, Sunny Sun said, "Good morning, Tracker and Matt. Are you going to sell Tesla or are you just joking?" I did actually, like, as soon as Matt posted, because when Matt says something's at major resistance, I take it very seriously. So I had I have like 100,000 in TSLL, and then when he said major resistance after the market closed yesterday, I took half of it out. So 50,000 in cash this morning, and we'll see what happens with Tesla. It does kind of look like, we'll talk about all this stuff here in a second here, but it kind of
Yeah.
looks like,
Well,
there's a little pincher top right here on the 4-hour chart. Go ahead, Matt. You do your thing.
yeah.
Take us out.
Let's start with the indices, and we are getting that kind of pullback this morning. So this is the daily chart. Just wanted to show you the 1.618 fib again, 585. That could be the target, right? I talked about this all last week, all this week, just saying how important this 585 is. And really, when you look at the weekly chart up here, you can see that it technically hasn't really even back tested, nor has it filled a gap too. I know people are talking about that gap. So we'll see if it does need to do that as well. But I think at a minimum, we'll see it pull back to this 585. And this is just normal because it's not going to melt up most likely to all-time highs since it was really kind of struggling for many months before it kind of broke down. So I think on the way up, we're going to see a retrace before we break into all-time highs. So 585 minimum goal, maybe even a little bit lower. The 50-week moving average is there at 571 as well. So this is just normal. Do not be panicky of this situation because it's down 371 pre-market. I don't even know if there's any news related to that anyways, but in my eyes, it's always technical anyways. So just a retrace, a flip from resistance to support. And now we have the same thing with the QQQ, but this one could go a little bit further down if it chose to. The 1.414 and the gap there is 492, so we could see a retrace back to the 490s, but this was getting closer and closer to the previous highs anyway, so we could maybe see some kind of pullback. If we just did a normal fib from the all-time high to this low too, we can see it really just got rejected at the 886 right here, which is normal. And then the 786 could be the minimum target, maybe the 507. So this is like the final boss. The 522 is like the final boss before it goes back into all-time highs. So a retrace there is perfectly normal. And IWM is really trying to get more bullish here. And if we just did a simple retrace from here to here, we can see that going back down to the 205 would be perfectly normal as well. We can go to the Ichimoku cloud as well, and you can see that baseline for 2 weeks so far. It's kind of failing that 208. I've been talking about that 208 basically all week, and it'd be great to close the second week in a row above it, but in the time we could go test lower first this week before we try to go back and close above on Friday. So let's watch this 205 from the all-time, or not the all-time high. Yeah, is it all-time high? Yeah.
Yeah.
All-time high down to this low that we just had with the V bottom. So try to stay above the 205 for the week and close above 208 by Friday. And I guess we can talk about Bitcoin as well. And just to look at Bitcoin, it's stabilized on top of the linear scale, 1.618, 102. More importantly, still above the 103,611. And this is looking mighty fine, right? We got 2 weeks in a row already closing above. So this could be a third week in a row, just building a base on top of that. So there's really no change for me. As long as it stays above this 103,611, I think Bitcoin can be a nice little launch pad to go up to the 110s, 120s, and beyond.
Yeah, man, it's looking really, it's exciting. Let me show my SPY chart, and I'll just emphasize that point that you're making. Thanks. I was expecting just from the fibs for the 88.6, I had 598.25, which is exactly this 88.6% retrace. and it looks like it kind of got front run. It didn't make it to test it there. And so, yeah, we're headed back to see if the 786 will be support. So my target's 585.10 roughly. It could go even like, just going on this 8-hour Ichimoku. Sure, it could come 576 or the top of the Ichimoku cloud. I think that's the weekly Ichimoku cloud at 574, which Matt just mentioned. But, if you're trading a bunch of stocks actively right now, you already know that not all stocks move the same way. The SPY, it's just an amalgamation of a whole bunch of different stocks, and they're from different sectors. They move different ways. I kind of think of it as like a forest fire broke out, and all the animals of the forest, all the creatures got flushed against the river. They couldn't run any farther than the river. Or maybe, yeah, let's stick with that analogy. And then now the fires died off and they're all running back towards their homes, and they move at different speeds. The turtles don't move as fast as the rabbits, and the deers move faster. And so what you have is an event that flushes those sort of their extent to one level, but then there's a diversity. That's the word I'm looking. There are divergences amongst the participants as they head back up again. So they don't head at the same rate. And they don't all take the same paths. So some things are going up, even as other things are going down. Like the quantum stocks are just on fire um, this week, and yeah, and I talked about that yesterday. I did a little quantum special in yesterday morning show. So yeah, look for a healthy pullback for the SPY. Nothing to be scared about. If it comes down to the top of this cloud, 574, that's fine. I wouldn't unless it broke below my moving average 75, which you see it's kind of coming up this way. Then I'd be a little concerned. Like a toe over it is just enough to throw the VIX up into a state of panic, but staying on top of it will be fine. It'll be a nice show of support. All right, let me do Tesla. So I was just saying yesterday, or I was saying just a minute ago, this is a 4-hour. It kind of looks like a tweezer top, and this is what Matt was saying was like significant resistance for Tesla. We're right at the halfway point right here. 351 is halfway between the all-time high and that 214.45 low that we just came off of. So yeah, maybe this gets just a little pullback too. It doesn't have to fill this gap, but now that I think it might be going down, it will fill that gap. If it comes down fast enough, it could hit it just ahead of this moving average 75 on the 4-hour chart. So, it would have to go there instantly. I don't think it's going to do that. Yeah, it might be taking a little longer. So anyway, yeah, I have a big position in TSLL because I was waiting for it to break out over the 350 level or positioning myself ahead of that. Now I think I'll risk off on Tesla and just wait and see if we get a pullback. And if it breaks over, then I'll cash. But this is the level that I want to see it get over. 361.98 would prove, or this 396.36 would prove either that purple level or the black level that I posted publicly about what I think Tesla will do next. Just kind of going back and making first, this was my 1-2, but now I'm thinking that this will be. What am I saying? That this is anyway. I'm sorry, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm looking for either this path would be great to 578 next for the wave 3 sub 1, but maybe it's a little bit more muted, and it comes up to this level here. So the first levels I'm looking for are above this 382 at 362 or this 382 at 397. You could say. There you go. But a chance for a pullback here for sure. So
Nice.
I'm going to be a little cautious. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take a look at my Tesla chart too and show you guys what I posted yesterday, how it just hit the green arc yesterday, symmetrical resistance, and we did hit the 886 yesterday, 353.19, It got to 354.99, and we also hit the baseline as resistance yesterday, which is 351.39 and others, right? So basically, where is it going to retrace to? I think looking at the daily chart kind of just sets it up. It kind of sets the stage, right? The daily chart, it's like if you can't get above this 353, which you can see day over day over day, it's been kind of a rejection zone, then you can see the retrace level, maybe back to the top of the cloud, maybe the conversion line there around 317, 320, that zone. Also, if we just switched it to the linear scale, you can see that the 702 is right there at the 321.32 as well. So can't break above. There's even this 347, right? There's another resistance zone on linear scale, 786, 347.58. If we can't break above any of this stuff, then I would at least at minimum expect 321.32. That's what I would say. So don't get all excited at resistance. Be more excited at support. And truly, this 382 was really the place to get excited about before because it kept holding beautifully as support, that 221. But most people just hated it down there. But they wanted to buy it up here, right? That's just the name of the game because they don't like to buy the fear. They like to buy the excitement. But right now, we just got to have proof it wants to close above. And there is no proof yet until we get a weekly candle close. I would say at least above this 353.19, at least above that, to prove that it kind of wants to continue the journey towards the 400s again.
Yeah, even as we were talking about it, I went onto my account here. I just de-risked the rest of my Tesla, my TSLO. So it's just all in cash now. I'll wait and see what happens.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it has potential to continue going, though. I always wait for confirmation just to make sure. So
Exactly. What could hurt? Confirmation sounds good to me too. Let's see. Rumblebelly wrote quantum and uranium space. That's right. The quantum plays are hot, and also uranium. So names like UEC and SMR are all doing really great. What we'll do? You know what? Let me. Yeah, someone even requested SMR. So let me show my SMR chart. SMR, New Scale Power Corporation. SMR stands for small. No, wait, is that right? I can't remember. Small mobile reactor. I think that's what the idea was. Yeah, SMR. It leapt off from the bottom here. It ran about 127%, and so it could pull back a little bit. Just a little pause here. I wrote yesterday that it had some resistance and then support here at the 382. Maybe it'll oscillate, or maybe it'll just keep going. I mean, the 382 is sort of the launching point to get to where I think it'll reach the 618 next. So that's what I've got here, 3027. Even if it does pull back, maybe to the Ichimoku 8-hour baseline at 2064, it could just oscillate to there. And then once the market says, "Oh yeah, okay, we're fine," then it just goes right back up again to there. So it could go kind of boom, boom, and then up to here. And then I'm also on the lookout for if it gets even more bullish. If it passes the 618, then the 764 is possible up here at 3482. So SMR, it's in a pretty decent risk reward place. It could pull back as far as the 236. And if it does, I would definitely go in there because that's going to be support for the whole rest of the chart. So yeah, there you go. SMR looks pretty decent from where it is. Quantum stuff. I think QBTS, or is it QUBT? It is QBTS. So this sort of, I posted to my subscribers this morning that this kind of explains the extent of my abilities, right? I can only look at something like that. The previous history I had here from the all-time low of 0.3962, it went up to 1141 and then dropped back down here to 335. And then I just put my fibs on it and I said, okay, look, here's a 764,382. So my 1382 is my next target. And it did go to the 1382, and you can see it even here on the 8-hour chart. It's quite visible that it went right to the 1382 at 1716, kind of paused, went back down, and then it caught itself and kept going again. And what happened is 27.2 fib extend. It's a retracement, but it went 27% higher than its original previous high. And so that kind of caught it, and it sent it back up to the 141, and then it kept going, but it didn't quite go to the 1618. Though on the extension side, it did go as high as 1618, almost exactly to 1952 in pre-market this morning, and then it's dropped back down again. I can't predict. I don't usually go around predicting a 1618 extension. So yeah, anyway, the extent of my abilities are I'll say a 1382 is pretty good. I was looking for it to get to there. I was impatient. I sold here around 1587 yesterday, and then immediately put the money into LAES, another quantum play. So yeah, it looks like QBTS, it just overran a little bit, and its support level should probably still be the 100% fib at 1334, though it's possible it ends up holding 1570 as support here at the 123.6 fib. So either we get this, we already got that. Could do this or this. I guess if you're looking to buy in QBTS, start adding slowly as it approaches 1570, and then add more and more as it approaches 1334, and it should not fall below 1334. And then you didn't ask for it, but here's what I put my qubit winnings into was LAES yesterday, and I was kind of worried that I was worried to sell here when I was at the 1382 in pre-market yesterday, because I thought it could drop down to 100% really fast and then take off again. But and it did drop really fast, but then it formed this triangle, so it's kind of coming up slowly. I think it was so hot that the market maker said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 we can't let these all these call options expire, or expire in the money. We've got to slow things down so we can cover ourselves." And that's what they're doing. All yesterday, when price went up and down inside this triangle, that's when the market makers were trying to get people to sell off their calls, and they were repositioning. And then once they like the way things are going, once they like their options positions, they'll let their thumb off of the scale and let this rise back up again. But LES wants to go to 434, despite whatever the SPY is doing right now. I don't think it's going to go. It's not going to go back below 312. Famous last words, but there you are. And you can even see on the 1 hour time scale, the moving the Ichimoku baseline is kind of coming up to support it. On the 4 hour, it's down here about 293. It could come down to 290, but man, I really don't want to do it. If it drops below 312, I'll stop out and then try to catch it at 290. Anyway, they're unsolicited advice on LAES. And now for the actual requests. Okay,
Yeah,
we did
I just wanted to address.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I wanted to address that question about TSLL, like selling covered calls or something. Selling covered calls on Tesla alone is risky. I think TSLL is even more risky because it can be volatile. We've seen Tesla just cut through support levels easily. We cut through resistance levels easy. So it's just very, very risky stock, in my opinion, to sell covered calls on anything, let alone a leveraged play. So I think depends on your risk tolerance, I guess. If you're okay with getting, I don't know, if you're okay with like selling some of your shares at that price, then I guess that's fine.
I think I would say if you were really hot to sell some covered calls, sell them just above 2026. Maybe around 21. I guess if they're increments, like sell like a $22 to 24 to 26. Those should give you a good amount of premium without being too risky of getting called away. But even if they do get called away, it'll happen so fast. You'll be happy for selling your shares anyway, and then it probably maybe come down to test a little bit of support. You can just buy them back. Yeah, or if you don't want them called away at all, sell them above $34, because the most bullish move I'm looking for in TSLL is for it to go to 34.22 and then test back to 20.26. So you could sell if you want to hold on to your TSL. All right.
Very good. Yeah,
on any time
I
scale.
got some requests to do. Did you do AMD yet? I don't think you did, right?
No, I was just about to, but do you want me to do it, or you want to
Yeah.
go first?
Yeah, I already have
Okay.
it available here. So one thing I wanted to point out
Right.
is it's establishing a nice base on top of the baseline right now, on the weekly baseline, and the resistance was kind of obvious last week. It's just basically the 200-week moving average. So I think we're in a little bit of a range, and yes, I know there's a gap there below. A lot of people talk about that. So we'll see if it does need to fill that gap. But right now I'm looking at 110 to hold as support. I'm looking at 116 to still be your resistance, 117 zone, and just range bound, right? Until it's really ready to break above this 200-week moving average, then it'll have much more room to go. But this was a kind of an expected move, right? A reversion back to the mean up here, and now just maybe cooling off in this zone, maybe 110 before it's ready to go higher.
Let's see. And I think I called it out already. You have to show. Well, I'll do Big Bear AI next. Oh no, you got it. Okay, cool. Wait, that's my. Oh, that's
No,
my
that's
Big
you.
Bear.
That's your screen.
It's just loading up. Um, it wasn't messy enough to be my chart. That was still loading. But the thing with AMD is just 142. I think it's going to 142 next. It might, oscillate up and down on the way there, but 142s were the next major resistances that I see. Big Bear AI, I'm looking for this to it's below point, or just it beat the 11.4% fib mini boss, and it almost tested the 23.6. I think it still wants to go to the 23.6. If for some reason the whole market decides to go risk off, it might just oscillate around 341. My cost basis here at 361. But I think in general, at the minimum, it's going to 591 next. It'll always do at least this 382 and then back to the 236. I don't have any kind of uh, patterns in my head where it doesn't go to at least 382, then to the 236. So there you go, 591 next with 455 becoming support. And then it goes on higher to 265% higher from where where it was yesterday. Now, it did sell off a little bit yesterday. So it would be 295% higher from where price is now to reach my wave 3 at 1390. There you go, Big Bear AI. And then ASTS Space Mobile. And I'll come back and try to do the other one. I don't think I've got a chart for PDYN, but I'll build one. Space Mobile, again, it's fighting with the 23.6% fib right now, around 2655. It already did. Where are my? Give me a second. I got trend line on. Okay, there you are. Yeah, it already went 382. It kind of dropped below the 336. I think as it reclaims it, it'll probably want to go to the 618 or the 764. Yeah, order block detector doesn't have anything here except these sell-offs lower than the 382. So watch this. It'll definitely go over the 382 next, and hopefully it goes all the way to the 764 at 4681, like I've got here. If it doesn't, it just goes to the 618 4121. I'm sorry, I've got all these arrows everywhere. But yeah, you know the pattern. By hopefully, if you're a regular watcher now, you're kind of catching on. If it goes to the 618, it comes back to the 236. If it goes to the 764, that comes back to the 382, and that's just what I'm looking for next in ASTS Space Mobile. Matt, do you have one there? And I'll whip up a PDYN chart.
Yeah, I got Peloton actually. Peloton.
Oh yeah, Peloton. The big.
So here's my
pandemic winner.
Peloton. Oh yeah, big pandemic. It did come back down nicely to a big support zone before the 45-degree angle right here, and it held that right in this April month here. And we're trying to get more bullish, trying to get above the cloud, trying to get above this 719 236 fib, trying to get above the level of the GAN. So it's in a big zone right now, big resistance zone, and kind of a big support zone too. So I would say it's just kind of range bound until it really finds direction. Perhaps if it could just stay in this little wedge formation between the green angle and the orange level up here until it's really ready to break out. But yeah, Peloton does look like some kind of bottom was found, a new higher low from the August 24 and the May 24 lows has been found right here. So just give it a little bit more time And all I really care about really is staying above the 50-week moving average, which is basically 637 at the moment. And if that can stabilize on top of that, then I think it can really push through the $7 range, which is going to be the challenge. And eventually, once it starts to build a base here, then it's going to have difficulty with these arcs too. So essentially, this whole zone right in here is just going to be big. And once it breaks the top arc of this orange arc here, then I think it'll be ready to go much higher. But right now, it might just take its sweet, sweet time just building a nice foundation in this zone before it's really ready to break this $7.30, $7.78 range.
All right, very cool. I've got the PDYN Paladine AI Corp. This is cool. I'd never heard of them before, but they got AI in their name, so I think they might do well. Yeah, let's go for a 618 here. So I just I pulled from this like 40, I can't remember what it was, 43%, 43-cent bottom, 1538 to the 483 higher low. So let's watch. It would at least do the 3-2, but I'm kind of looking at this wick right here and thinking I might go to the 618, 618, 236, 1236, 764, and then 2236. You can sing it along with me now if you're a regular viewer. Excuse me. So yeah, oh look here, and you got this big planned cell block order waiting around this 1236 to the 1382 level, which is exactly what I would expect. Whether this goes to 382, 236, 1236, or 764, 382, 1382, it's still gonna the third wave is gonna hit up in there somewhere. And that would also probably follow up as a 618 retrace. Well, no, that'd be 100% of this move back to there. Anyway, yeah. So Paladine, just watch these fibs here. You could just take a screenshot of this if you want, even if it doesn't. Oh wait, let's put this back to the 618. Take a screenshot here. It it should go to at least the 382 at $10.11, and then it would come back to 809 for support, and then go on up to 2190. But if it gets over 1011, you'll probably gravitate towards 1336, and if it goes over that, 1538 is next. I don't plan on seeing this go to the 1618 the first go, like QBTS did. But there you go. That's the extent of my ability to predict. It should 764 usually at the most. All right, there you go, Paladine. And the market likes it pretty good on the weekly. Let's see on the 8-hour chart. MCDX Plus says, yeah, super bullish. 76% institutional buying, and retail is squeezed out to the margins where it looks like a zero on here. Obviously, they're trading, but just compared to institutions, they're just at a minimum. So yeah, I'm gonna have to add this to my quantum pantry. Let's see. I could do. Do I have NBIS? I know you did NBIS last night, I think.
Yeah, Kat did that one last night. Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, hey, look, NBIS. So I haven't been watching this. I've been trading this, but I drew this for somebody in the show, and I was just looking for a 382, 236 minimum. But look, it went over the 382 and it gravitated right to the 618, and that looks like that's as far as it's going to go for now, unless it can get over the 618 and go to the 764. But if this is the top, if it peaked yesterday, then 2694 is next. Down here, the 236, that's where it would find support. And you kind of see what it's doing. The 8-hour chart is it would come back down to test the moving average 75. Well, if you hit it pretty fast, that would be really fast. Anyway, yeah, 618, if that's the extent, 2694 is my next target. If you're unsure, I mean, sometimes it'll find support near the 382. You can see there's a buy order block here as well as down there. But I would go in light. If you're getting FOMO, just buy a little bit and then buy more and more as it approaches the 236. There you go, NBIS. The 618, it still goes 236, 1236. This part doesn't change. Yeah, 764 and then 2236, 10268. So there, NBIS with just a slight change to the chart so far to the 618. You got something on
Very good.
tap here?
Yeah, I got I got Nvidia and Rocket Lab. So Nvidia, we can see that if you do a fib just from the all-time high down to the April low, it's right at the 786. So we're seeing a rejection there, which is perfectly normal and expected. So if it can't break above that, guess what? It's probably going to go back and maybe retrace to the 129, maybe a little bit lower to the 50-week moving average, 125. So we'll probably get some kind of retrace going here, which is expected. But with this recovery for Nvidia, this has gotten above my, if you've been following me for a while, the green level of my GAN here, which is ultra important, right? If you've been following a long time, you would know that this is what I really consider to be going into all-time highs, staying above this green level. And we got that, right? We're back above at 121.50, 122 zone. So that's really all that matters to me, right? Staying above this 122. And I think it's going to go to all-time highs. So it's just a matter of time before it gets above that 786. And this Gantt chart is the most important because it's been following this market symmetry so beautifully in the past, especially with this 45-degree angle, especially with how I got rejected at that blue angle or blue level last time, and how it's just been gravitating around this. So it really is kind of showing that its bull market does not want to end, right? It just wants to power through and keep being more and more bullish as long as it stays above my green level. And
Yeah.
Rocket Lab, RKLB, Rocket Lab, it looks like it wants to gravitate to the top resistance zone again, right? The massive resistance with that blue level right there. Big resistance. So we got to be a little bit more cautious the closer it gets to 28, 29, $30. But we can put on the Ichimoku just to show you that actually it is starting to flip all the indicators on the Ichimoku back to a support. And more recently, it was this baseline here at 2403. So stay above 2403, and I think it goes higher. Rocket Lab once again looks pretty good.
Yeah, and 3226 is my 618 extension, fib extension. That's where I also see Rocket Lab hitting its resistance. So 3226, and then it would test back to the 236 at 2110. Why does this not say 3226? And then I'm going to serve up some servo. Serve.
Ooh, I see what
How
you
do you
did
spell
there.
it? Serve Robotics. A lovely, beautiful chart here. It's really kind of cool how it ran way up to $24, came all the way down here, and almost did it again. Let's see, that's 2409. Oh wait, this is the wrong place. That is. I thought it was almost parallel. Oh, that is higher. Sorry, 1 second. Quick chart adjustment. I didn't look far enough. Okay, there we go. I must have done this on my phone when I first did this. So anyway, the 382 is 1311. It already beat the 11.4 boss here. You can see, I'll get real close to it. You know, the 11.4, it was like resistance, finally caught, and then did this big engulfing candle that went through it. Went right to the 236 here. 236 was resistance, came back down, broke through it, tested back to it. 236 should now be support for SERV Robotics. It should not go below 981 again, and it should be gravitating towards the 382 next at 1311. So that's my minimum target, 1311. This one definitely could go to the 786, or I'm sorry, the 764 on extension. I'm looking at the sell wall up here, and you know, this could do this. And then the 382 would be support. So it could go 2173 back to $13.11 onto the 1382, 100% fib as support, and then the 2382. So I've just updated all this. A little different. Let's just look at from where prices now to the wave 3 top would give us about 270% price improvement. That's great. 256%. It gets really It gets really crazy at the ends here. 256% higher. So yeah, this is a great place to enter SERV. You don't really have to mess around with it much. If it oscillated around the 236 again, it would not drop below 842. That should catch it right there on the 8-hour Ichimoku baseline. But yeah, it's going to go higher. All right. SERV.
And I'm gonna do one more before I run away, and then Tracker, you can choose something too. But I'm gonna do Coinbase just to show you guys. Somebody asked for short term, but I think what's more important than short term is just staying on top of this cloud, staying on top of the baseline, staying on top of this 786 fib here at 245. That zone 245, 246, 247, and just staying above that. I think Coinbase is good to go. It's something that had a lot of resistance before, is now above everything. And being above everything on the chart is a perfect setup to going higher. So if you're patient enough, you can reap the rewards to going back towards all-time highs, because I think those are the next steps. You got the 318 above as resistance, but then after that, it would be all-time highs, and then this big GAN level up there in the 500s. But I think longer-term play for coin is where it's at, because I still believe it's going to be a massive move and make its way up towards at least like the 1200s up here, the 1.414, maybe even the 2000. I think that's where it's going. And I have the conviction, so I'm holding strong. All right, Tracker, what do you want to do on your last one?
Oh, sorry, I didn't drop on mute. Very nice, Matt. Thanks. I'll do RGTI. There's Rigetti Computing. I done a retrace. I started a retrace on it before, but didn't finish it. But here, I'll just quickly say, when I look at these charts, and I kind of use Matt's method here of looking at the prior run from here back to this 100%, from 0 to 100%, and then look to the left at the 127.2 and the 141.4 as potential extensions. And look, it kind of lines up. 141 is kind of close to the 123.6 fib extension. So yeah, let's just do this real quick and say from right here, it went to the 618. The 236 did not hold as it was intended to. It kind of rebattled the, well, it never did the 11.4 boss down here, did it? So it went back to 11.4. And I think as it regains it past the 382, it could test back down one more time to the 236 at 1002. But in general, I think it wants to go to the 1236 next. 764, then 2236. So let's see. That wave 3 takes it just above the 141.4 fib. In fact, maybe I should lower this and say the wave 3 target is going to be 2801. Come here, you. Trying to grab things between fibs. 2801. So let's look for that to be the wave 3 top. And yeah, I like this for, yeah, 382 still resistance. If it can break through it, it's just gonna run and run and run. But it is possible for it to test back to 1002 next. One more time before doing that. And there you go. And the price improvement, let's see, if it just ran straight up to 2801, that's 131% higher. Your downside risk is about 15 to 17%. Yeah, and if I don't know, if you waited for the 236 and it did that and you caught it, then to the wave 3 top here would be 178% higher. So I don't know, I like it. RGTI. All right. Thanks everybody. This was a lovely morning after the Triumvirate show last night. Be sure and watch it. Kat goes through all those shows and he timestamps them. He kind of timestamps them as we go along. He's a machine at it. He's really kind to do that for us. And we'll be back again tomorrow.
Yeah. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.
Yeah. Good luck out there, everybody. And remember, we're kind of at resistance and maybe pulling back, so be cautious.